Okay, the bash is coming, July 14th to the 19th, and we are still working on Marty's car. And this is the Bondo Bob, you can say Bob and Bob part of the show. So we're putting his brakes together. So we're going to do a little Q&A session on brakes. A lot of people have questions about brakes, so we're going to use your car, Marty, as a demo car. Here we are.
Again.
Bondo Bob Knight from
Knight's
Classics. Pressure's on, phone's ringing. Bash is almost here. Are we ready?
Well, has anything changed since last year?
No. Last minute, we're getting it ready. And actually, last year, this time, we were building Rick's car.
We was building Rick's car.
Trying to get it ready for the bash. So now this year, we're building Marty's car.
Trying to get it ready for the bash.
Trying to get it ready for the bash. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to do a Q&A session on brakes.
Give a little display on how to properly cut and flare brake lines. And
So we'll just wing it.
okay.
There is no one right way, and there is no one wrong way, but there's a lot of right ways and there's a lot of wrong ways, and the two don't mix. So
Right.
the basic concept of brakes is hydraulics. You're pushing fluid through a line to close a piston to grab your either caliper or drum. So how to do that is a little different on every car, but we're building a Spirit car, and we're going to show you how we do it on a Spirit car.
Okay. Well, I need these. I don't know.
We're
When
ready.
you get old,
We're
you need
ready
this.
now, yeah.
All right. Where do you want to start? Do a little bit of a display.
Why don't we start by, let's look at the car.
Okay.
This car is getting disc brakes front and rear. Sometimes they got drum in the back, sometimes they got drum front and rear, very seldom, but mostly they're disc in the front, drum in the back. But we got disc in the front and disc in the rear. Now we use a through frame fitting. And on this one, both sides, and pretty much we're going to have to connect both the rear calipers together to run it to the master cylinder. Now again, there's no one right way to do it. A through frame fitting, all that means is we drill a hole in the frame, and there's a fitting that goes through the frame, and we connect a braided hose, flexible braided hose, because your rear end's going to travel, of course. And we use an AN3. There's an AN4. It's just a style of fitting that connects to that. Comes out this end, and we go hard lines from this side. Now also, you could weld a tab on and put a tab, say that, put your tab on here, run a fitting through it, and clamp your fitting in. And again, it's got an AN4 or an AN3 on here that will accomplish the same purpose.
Now then, this takes a different fitting than a regular 3/16 course brake line fitting will screw right into that, where you don't have to have a special, right?
Right, we'll have to do a double flare on a brake line, so we can show that a little bit later. Okay, so we got a through frame fitting on this side, and again, we've got to connect both these wheels together with our plumbing to get it to the master cylinder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run my line around to here, and I've put a T in the through frame fitting here, so I'm connecting both the lines together right here, coming through, and then I'm going to run this line down and around to the master cylinder there.
Okay, how are you mounting your lines there to keep them from rattling and that?
Well, you can drill through here. There's no reason you can't, but if you do, make sure you put a grommet. One thing you don't want is a brake line rubbing on a sharp edge. And we always use a fitting
For a hose clamp there?
We always use a fitting. I just wrap it around the line, and then we'll just go ahead and drill and screw it to the, you can screw, or you can even pop rivet it if you'd like, just so it's fastened down and not running loose.
I'll tell you, drilling and tapping with a 1/4-20 works the best, looks the best, and it'll hold it, looks nicer than just pop.
Looks nicer, takes longer, and again, there's no one right way, so rivet will
Right.
hold it, but a screw will hold it nicer, and you can take that off too.
It's just in personal preference how nice you want your frame to look and professional.
So I guess we're gonna drill and tap Marty's?
I guess
I
we are.
can't glue them on or something? Tape, duct tape?
No,
No duct tape on this one?
no, on any of them you shouldn't. It's always best to drill
Okay,
and
so we're to
tap.
the master cylinder, and there's two reservoirs there. Tell us about master cylinders and,
Well, one goes to the front and one goes to the back, and the way this is gonna be set up, the line here is gonna come in and around and over to the master cylinder. On the front, it'll come out and go into the proportioning valve here, and on the proportioning valve, they've got a three-way T here that they put the pressure switch in for your brake lights. So
and
that's
again, you can use a pressure switch or you can use a manual switch. Under your brake, it physically touches and opens the
right.
contact.
It's a little arm that's been around since the 50s.
Yeah.
That when you push down on the brake, it opens it up so you've got your tail lights. When it comes back, then your tail lights go
And
off.
actually, off a 50 Chevy truck, it's a perfect hot rod arm if you're gonna do it that way.
Right, our 55, 6, 7 Fords had the same thing,
Yeah.
and they're still available at
Yeah.
a lot of your parts stores. And then from here,
Well, let's stop at the proportioning valve here and cause some controversy.
okay,
A lot of magazines you read, it says put the proportioning valve in the back. Well, we might as well start a controversy on this whole proportioning valve thing. Well, what is the purpose of that? Can you tell us that?
well, the proportioning valve is set up so one brake doesn't set up more than the other. Normally on a street rod, you'll run your proportioning valve to the back for your back brakes, but being the T-buckets are so light and that 60% of your braking's in the front with the disc brakes, that on the T-buckets, we like to set them up with the proportioning valve going to the front.
The whole goal of the proportioning valve is so that your brakes set up, like you said, 60% more. You don't want your front brakes locking up while
Right.
your back is still turning, or your back locking up while your front is still turning. So
Exactly,
you want it to be proportioned equal.
right,
And what it does, it cuts the fluid level going through the line. So in essence, even though you've got a 3/8 line going to the front, is it 3/8, 3/16?
3/16 line,
It cuts it down, so it's actually a smaller line.
right.
So it's harder to get that much fluid through it. That's what proportions it.
Right, and when you go to set them, you can open them up all the way, see how your brakes are working, and then scale it down as you need it.
Everybody asks me which way you turn it. You know, I don't know.
Well-
But it says in the instructions, I think it's counterclockwise, but we're gonna read that here in
Well,
just a second.
Clockwise when you're
Clockwise.
opening it up, and then
Open
when you're
it, right.
scaling it down, you're going counterclockwise. But if you have a gravel driveway, really kind of tells you real quick what's grabbing and,
Or a slick garage.
or a slick garage floor, yeah.
If you got a slick garage floor, your front brakes will lock up and you'll just push that car and think you're gonna hit the wall.
I think we did that one
We
time
won't
here.
tell anybody that. And we sure won't tell them whose car it was either.
And so then also in line with the proportioning valve, we put to the front, we put a 2-pound residual valve. And what that does, it keeps the fluid where it doesn't backflow in. And on street rods and cars that have the brakes below the floor, that's what they suggest to put in them. The front is a 2-pound residual valve, and on the back a 10-pound.
Residual, how do you say aluminum? You say aluminum?
Oh no, I didn't do well in English.
No.